We've asked our guest today, Jamie Turndorf, Ph.D. She is the author of Till Death Do Us Part, Unless I Kill You First, a step-by-step guide for resolving relationship conflict, and another book, Make Up, Don't Break Up, Dr. Love's 5-step plan for reconciling with your ex. She's the host of a popular radio show, Ask Dr. Love, and she's also the creator of the website AskDrLove.com, which has thousands of free articles about relationships. So you can go check that out, AskDrLove.com. But we welcome Dr. Jamie Turndorf with us today. Jamie, are you there?
I'm here.
Thanks for being with us.
I'm happy to be with you.
This is a big deal, this conflict, isn't it? It's not going away, and yet so many of us shy away from it so much.
Why do you say that?
Because it's scary. Have you noticed?
I always say that, we should go to love school, but really I should amend that to fighting school, because love and hate are blood relatives, and your love is not going to survive unless you learn to manage the inevitable conflicts that arise in relationships.
So what do you think? Okay, answer this, because if I hear this again, I'm going to just go crazy. What do you say?
I don't want you to go crazy.
I know, fix this for me. What do you say about the person that at their wedding dinner, someone stood up and gave some advice and said, never go to bed angry?
Well, that sometimes if you can't be constructive, it's better to go to bed angry. Go to your separate corners.
Yeah, and take a break.
Take a break. If you can't be constructive, if it's only escalating more and more, you do not want to say or do something you're going to regret, because I always say relationships are like rubber bands. They can only be stretched so far before they snap, and you can't put a rubber band back. That's so
true. And as they stretch, the tension gets tighter and tighter, and more bad things can happen.
Right. And, people have this idea, it's the cathartic model in psychology. Oh, I'm going to just take my anger and I'm going to dump it on your head. I'm going to take a poop on your head. I feel better. But I always say, whatever you say and do boomerangs back on you.
Right.
And while it may feel good in the moment to get your rocks off on someone, on the rocks is where your relationship is going to end up.
That's exactly right, isn't it? And that's a big part of this conflict problem is it's the emotion management, isn't it, that's so difficult?
Right, because conflict is, most people use the word conflict and anger interchangeably, but as you know, conflict is just a state of disagreement. It's inevitable in relationships. The conflict isn't the problem. It's what you do with the angry feelings that usually accompany conflict that is often a problem.
Right. Tell us, it can't be as simple as you can't just sit and talk, can you? I mean, so many of the people I work with, it blows their mind when I say, okay, what we're going to do is we're going to teach you to suspend some of your emotion and hold it in check, and then we're going to show you how to actually have a conversation. And they just can't believe that that's possible.
Right. I always use the example of, when you're a little kid, you can't control your bowels. You feel like you have to poop, you make a poopy. Well, it's the same with your negative feelings. You have to learn to sit on it, hold it back, and then transform the raw poopy into constructive communications that are going to benefit not only you, but also the other person and your relationship. So it's developing impulse control, the ability to control yourself. It's a muscle that gets stronger with practice. The more you train that muscle to bear the emotional weight and not just release and dump, you get stronger, and it's a discipline that you develop, and you can do it.
And again, it's not something that you sit in school and learn. You've learned your times tables, but you haven't learned this impulse control necessarily.
You have to learn impulse control. And I always say when you go to a gym, at first your muscles are very weak and you can't bear any weight. Well, it's the same with bearing emotional weight. At first, you don't have the impulse control. But if you say to yourself, I am going to sit on this, and I'm not going to deliver any raw rage to my partner or my kids or my friends or my family members, as you bear that weight, you learn to get stronger muscles and to not just dump raw stuff on anybody.
I love that.
You practice, you get better.
Mm-hmm. Is it, I guess we fall into some traps then when it comes, because, a lot of people it just kind of believe strongly that, hey, I just need to be able to vent. Can a guy not vent?
It's wrong because, as you know, feelings have a kind of contagious effect. There's a flooding that goes on. We used to think if I vent, I'm going to get to the bottom of my emotional barrel. It's not even true. The research shows us now that the more you rage, the more angry you get. So it's the opposite. You don't vent, you make more anger in yourself. And of course, in the venting, you're leaving bad feelings behind in the ventee, and that person is going to pay you back.
Yeah.
Which is going to beget more anger more venting. It's a terrible vicious
cycle. It is,
cycle.
and it's a terrible cycle. There's a great quote that says, emotion hijacks meaning.
There you go.
Because
That's great.
the emotion, it rides it, and then the meaning all gets distorted by you and them, so we're not getting clarity. We're actually just getting more and more confusion.
Right. I always use this image of an imaginary mental sieve. And you want to filter through this imaginary sieve all the raw feeling. All that guck goes through the sieve, and you don't deliver any of that raw feeling to anybody. And then as you use this imaginary sieve and you filter the raw feeling, then you're going to convert and transform that raw anger into communications that you know are constructive. For you, the other person, and the relationship. And if it's only good for you, but it hurts the other, it's going to hurt you in the end too.
Yeah, if it's one-sided, that's the rubber band.
There you go.
If you're pulling the rubber band one-sided, it's eventually going to flip back and get you. It's going to get you.
Whatever you say and do, boomerangs back on you.
Isn't that so true? It seems so obvious. What's the deal with the emotion? It also seems to me, and what I talk to my clients about, is that we don't have a clue what half of this emotion is even about.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up, because what I talk a lot in my book, Till Death Do Us Part, Unless I Kill You First, and actually I'm re-releasing the book.
Oh, are you?
Under Fighting for Love.
That's
There's
good.
going to be an expanded edition and so on. I'm going to do webinars at the site so people will be able to interact with
Is this
people.
at the site AskDrLove.com?
Yes.
Okay.
And so what I always say is 99% of what we're reacting to is unconscious. We don't even realize, why are you blowing an emotional gasket? Here's a good example. A husband and wife are sitting at the dinner table, right?
Yeah.
And it's Tuesday night, which is chicken night. And the husband says, "Oh, no, not chicken night again." And she blows a gasket. "You don't like my chicken? Go stuff my chicken." She's going crazy. She doesn't even know why fireworks are going off inside of her.
Right.
It's because the unconscious mind is constantly comparing present-day events with the wounds we suffered as kids. And so what happens is, I call this the emotional lake effect. We're literally dipping into the reservoir of the unconscious and dredging up all the pain of similar past experiences.
Yeah.
And then all that intensity creates fireworks inside you over a small little event in the present. And you're literally venting mountains and mountains of rage that's not even meant for your partner. It's coming from your parent that you were mad at, and you don't even know it's happening.
Yeah.
Happening on an unconscious level. So if you're going crazy and you're blowing a gasket and you're getting very intensely reactive over a very small triggering event, you're actually reacting to all the emotional injuries of childhood, and your mind is dredging all that up.
And it feels so real to you today. It feels real because it's it's biochemical, so all the feelings are there. And then what you do is you just hang. That's where you start hanging the stories on it. Well, you're rude. You're
the Antichrist. It's all your fault, and it's really the baby inside you that's still carrying the old scars from childhood that aren't healed, that's dumping all this mountain of poop on your partner. And we'll talk about heating the climate, right?
Right.
Getting more fighting. And so whenever you feel yourself getting crazy like that, it seems disproportionate. You can't shake the feeling. It's lasting more than a day. You know that some old scar from childhood is afoot, and you got to step back and do your emotional homework and say, wait a minute, what is this reminding me of? What did he say or do, and how does that connect with my history? Why I got so upset about the chicken is because my dad was always critical of me.
Yeah.
I could never do anything right. Oh, that's why I'm reacting,
Isn't that interesting? And then all of a sudden, it's an echo of the past. It's an emotional echo.
The echo process. Echo process.
Oh,
so
really?
You totally read my mind.
I didn't know that. Oh, that's what I've always called it. It's an emotional echo that you kind of formulated into your own little script or schema, and it's subconsciously firing. I love that approach. because in a weird way, it takes it out of you. It's not personal. You're not even driving this game. You're just reacting to a history.
Right. And the beautiful thing is, this is what my method is all about, so that you can actually help each other become healing agents to each other, because then if you're able to make the link up to when you were injured as a kid, now you can help your partner to become your healing ally and say, wow, this reminded me of what my dad did or what my mom did. And then your partner, instead of being your enemy, is your ally. Oh, let's talk about that. Let's work that through.
Yeah.
You see?
Well, see, and instead we're offended. Like, no way are you yelling at me because I made one comment about your chicken.
Well, because you know, it's a dance. You have to start to take ownership of your own old scars. And when you feel yourself getting hot under the collar, I explain how you can go and reflect and strip away the overt content of the current fight. This is how stripping helps you solve conflicts. And I'm not talking about getting naked either.
Yeah. Well,
so you
thank
strip away
you.
the overt, you find what your old scar is, and then you can actually talk to your partner in a calmer way, and your partner can work with you to become actually a healing figure instead of another critical person. And if you yell at your partner, he or she will become another critical reminder, another repetition like your parent.
Well, the minute you yell at them, you put them into their reactive past. And it's game on. Good stuff. We're talking with Dr. Jamie Turndorf here. You can find Dr. Turndorf's site, askdrlove.com. You can also, when you go there, you can check out some of her books. She's got a lot of great just information on the site, tons of articles. But her book is Till Death Do Us Part, Unless I Kill You First, a step-by-step guide for resolving relationship conflict. Dr. Turndorf, we're going to take a break, come back and get into this a little bit more. I'd love to figure out how we actually train our brain to not overreact in this moment. You're listening to the Matt Townsend Show right here on Sirius XM 143 BYU Radio.
A mission to Pluto turns into cosmic dodgeball when scientists discover new moons on the way to their target.
This is Innovation Now, bringing you stories of revolutionary ideas, emerging technologies, and the people behind the concepts that shape the future.
Pluto wasn't discovered until 1930, and we're still learning new things about it, including the fact that it's not at all alone out there. No, Pluto has a posse, and just this year, we discovered a fifth moon orbiting Pluto. That moon was completely unknown when New Horizons blasted off in 2006. The original flight plan assumed a course skimming closely between Pluto and its largest moon, Charon. But only now do we know it's heading into a cosmic dodgeball game with 5 moons, many smaller chunks of ice and rock, perhaps even a ring system around Pluto. After an almost 11-year flight, is the mission doomed even before it can get close enough for a good photo op? And maybe the new finds are a good thing. Can the mission be updated to also get data about these latest discoveries? The mission planning team has less than 1,000 days to try to master the orbits of the new objects, adjust course to avoid debris clouds, and steer New Horizons to play dodgeball between Pluto and Charon, which is about the size of Texas. That's gonna leave a mark. For Innovation Now, this is Buddy Rubino.
Innovation Now is produced by the National Institute of Aerospace through collaboration with NASA and is distributed by WHRV. Visit us online at innovationnow.us.
From demolition derby to the luck of the Irish or surviving in prison, no one brings you the range of stories quite like Kim Powers-Stilson. On her show, Talkworthy, she discusses topics that cover the spectrum of curiosity. Catch the interviews with Kim on her show, Talkworthy, which airs Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 3 p.m. Eastern, here on Sirius XM 143 BYU Radio. Talk about good.
Welcome back, friends, to the Matt Townsend Show. We are talking about conflict in your relationships, conflict in your marriage, and really, there's no way around the mountain. You can try to avoid it. You can try to just hammer through it and crush your partner and win the debate. But in the end, if you want the relationship to last, we've got to figure out a way through the process together. And we're talking with our guest, Dr. Jamie Turndorf. She is the author of Till Death Do Us Part, Unless I Kill You First, a step-by-step guide to resolving relationship conflict. She's actually rebranding that. Dr. Turndorf, what's the new name of that new book?
It's called Fighting for Love.
Fighting for Love, which is,
From conflict to connection in 10 simple steps.
Love it. Fighting for Love. And you also, you have a great website with thousands of free articles at AskDrLove.com. Because the funny thing about this, it seems so foreign to people how to have a conflict that actually works, yet the research is pretty clear and it's all pretty basic, really. Mm-hmm. I mean, this isn't brain surgery, yet it's so hard for us, isn't it?
Well, because, I talk about controlling the urge to gratify yourself, because there's a sick kind of gratification people get out of dumping on each other.
Yeah. Having
to hold your impulses back is frustrating. So it's really like psychological toilet training.
Yeah. It's funny, if we can teach a little toddler to go to the bathroom, then we can teach an adult to not just dump all their stuff all over each other and actually learn and communicate.
Right. And even though, I have a friend, actually she's my godmother, who said to me, Jamie, nobody wants to hear what you're saying. Nobody wants to control his or her behavior. You're just preaching to dead air. And I'm thinking, this isn't true. Because, I've had, 3 million hits a month in my site, and I was the first relationship advice site on the web. So obviously there are people out there who want to hear what I'm saying, and I get letters. Your methods have changed my life, have saved my relationship, worked with, my kids. So there are people out there who want to evolve.
No, I think, and you know what? Don't you think it's the age of evolving, right? It's time that we pick these skills up and learn them. You can't keep just remarrying, trying to find a better person that will take your dumping.
Yeah, really, because you can leave and you're just going to move your problem to the next relationship.
Exactly.
Follow you because you go, wherever you go, there you are.
There you are. So tell us how to train our brain. How do we train our brain to fight or to suspend? I guess you're calling it, I loved the word, I wrote it down. Raw rage, to kind of hold back your raw rage.
Well, first of all, one of the things I say is, everything works integrally. That's a hell of a word.
That is a hard word to deal with.
I said it, but don't ask me to say it again. You've got to, when you're healing your old scars, as I explain how to do in my method, in the book, and in the webinars that are going to come, as you heal your old scars, guess what? You cool down your emotions, because baby feelings are very intense. Mm-hmm. So I help you heal the old scars. I show you how to do that. And I also show you how to heal, your brain's distortions, because the baby brain and all these emotions that are flooding you make you not see and hear the world around you accurately. You're distorting. So I have this 5-step process to help you see and hear what's coming at you correctly.
Okay.
First step is, I call it hold your horses. With this, when you start feeling fireworks going off inside you, some kind of old scar is afoot. I'm overreacting. Don't say or do anything. Don't react. Right?
Right.
And then the second step is take a step back in time. Here you literally are going to go back and you're going to ask yourself, what does this current triggering event remind me of from my childhood? In the first segment, we talked about the chicken and how is it Tuesday night already and I'm going ape over this? But what does that remind me of? Come up with an early memory. Oh, what was happening? Who was saying and doing what to me? Okay?
Right.
Now you take a hard look at reality. This is the third step. And you ask yourself, is there even a 1% chance that I might be misreading my partner, my sister, my brother, whoever it is that you're going at it with? Could I be wrong? Is it possible I might have misinterpreted? 1% chance,
right.
Okay? Then, step 4, go back to that person and check out your suspicion and say, did you really mean you hate my chicken recipe?
Clarify,
Right? And then your partner can say, no, I love all your chicken parts, your legs, your thighs, your breasts.
Right, you like it all.
Right? And then step 5, smooth any ruffled feathers, chicken feathers.
That's make it up, make good.
Right. And then, you have a chance to process it. And I talk in the book, Till Death Do Us Part, I show you how you can literally use the relationship, your intimate relationship, for its most divine and highest purpose, which is to help you heal these old scars that are making you get so hot under the collar. And you can be healing agents to each other and be loving to each other.
I love the idea of a healing agent. I mean, the Bible even talked about that we're like a helpmeet. Adam and Eve were like helpmeets for each other and help us heal, help us meet each other. I mean, I love healing agent. Is such a great way to see your partner.
And it's so true, because if you think about it, unconsciously, you picked this person because you knew you were going to get into it. You knew that person was going to remind you of your mother or your father. You knew you were going to restage your original trauma. And now, this is where most couples get bollocksed up, because instead of being healing agents, they just are flooded with all the hate and the hurt and the anger that they felt as a child, and then they dump all that on their partner, and the intensity of the emotion is so strong that the marriage or the relationship can't survive, and they break up.
Yeah. I mean, it seems like, it's such a big deal, isn't it? It seems like, is it possible? I can just see, like, a husband, for example, putting his foot in his mouth, watching his wife get mad about the chicken, and just saying, "Oh man, your parents messed you up. Your parents are horrible," and really, like, kind of making this about that your parents messed you over, and missing the deeper point here.
Yes, so here's where, if you're both conscious and you're on the path together, and you're both following my method together, then you're taking turns being the grown-up, if you want.
Yeah.
So when you see somebody losing it, then instead of getting defensive, the person on the receiving end of the fit will say, "Wait a minute, what did I remind you of?"
Yeah.
Talk to me. Who did I remind you of right there? And now I'm there helping you to really say, well, it does remind me of the way my dad put me down and made me feel so stupid. So you have that higher understanding, because you know that if someone's reacting this intensely and you know each other's stories, which you should be sharing.
Yeah, after years especially, yeah.
We know so many couples that they come in for couples therapy, know nothing about each other's stories.
Mm-hmm.
Share your stories, share your pain, so that then when you have these sticking points, your partner can say, "Wow, did I remind you of your mom just there? Oh, that's not what you see." So you're working together.
Is it possible that we don't know what the issue is? Like, is it possible deep inside of us that I can't go back and find the pain? Like, I don't really know the pain.
Yes, I actually, in Till Death Do Us Part, I have a list of old scars, and it's a list of every way that all of us get screwed over in our childhood.
Yeah.
It's a human condition. And then I show you how that old scar resurfaces.
Okay.
In your adult relationship, so you can actually trace it back and decipher it. It's like, for example, if we're always fighting about, "You don't give me enough sex," wait a minute, let's trace that back. What's an original scar that often resurfaces as "you're not giving me enough sex"? Well, sex to the unconscious mind is love, emotional feeding. Who starved you as a kid?
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Totally.
Right.
I mean, so it's,
I help you, because very often what happens is the overt content acts as a smokescreen, and it blinds you so that you don't know what the real thing is that you're reacting to.
Right.
So I show you in the book and with my method how you can trace it back and say, "Wait a minute, that's what I'm really feeling, and this is what happened." And it's a process of discovery and awakening.
See, I think it's so needed. And plus, what it does is it kind of gives you almost an immediate break that you can put on the emotional reaction. And it's almost like you get to it's like at an amusement park where you'll see them take one of the cars off the track, and to just see that you can, you know what, you don't have to ride the track. You can just lift off the track and just stop for a second. Just hold still and let the track kind of be, let everything else pass by, and then let's go evaluate it.
Right. So sometimes I'll use the image of, imagine yourself being an eagle that's sitting in the corner with this bird's eye view, looking down upon yourself, your partner, and the experience that's happening. So you're taking a little psychic distance, which also helps you cool it down.
Yeah.
This is your observing ego, that part of the psyche that can watch you. And if you can do that, that's already going to help you get some space, some emotional space, some ability to analyze what's going on. And that's a discipline, too, that we develop.
This is a lot of discipline.
Yes.
And again, that's why you need the education on it. You need to know it exists instead of just saying we're just not right for each other.
No, in fact, if you're getting caught in these kinds of fight traps, then you are perfect for each other because you actually trigger each other the way nobody else will, meaning you're ripping off the scabs of each of your mutual old scars.
Sounds
You're
gross,
made
but
together,
actually
so-
healthy, yeah.
Yes.
I
Now
love
use
that.
it.
So there's
Yeah.
hope. There's hope if you're causing this friction, it's a sign that you could be a healing agent.
You were brought together to be a healing agent. to
Yeah,
each
this
other.
is the perfect one.
Nobody is going to trigger the other better than you will because you are so much like my dad I didn't work it out with, or my mom,
Yeah.
So nobody will get to me like you will. And if we divorce, I'll make sure I do find someone again, just
Yeah,
like the parent
just
I
like
didn't work
exactly.
with. Take care of your business.
That's
you know?
right. We're talking with Jamie Turndorf, PhD. She is the Love Doctor. And you can go to her website, askdrlove.com. Thousands of articles there, plus your ebooks, everything, videos, everything you can imagine. Great place to check that out. Plus, she's got a new book coming out, Fighting for Love, and another book that she's already had out, actually 2 or 3, Till Death Do Us Part, Unless I Kill You First. Those are some great books to look at. We're going to be back with Dr. Jamie Turndorf after this break, and we're going to get into how to stop or heal some of those scars from your childhood. This is the Matt Townsend Show on Sirius XM 143 BYU Radio.
Can't get enough BYU Radio? Then follow us on Twitter at BYU Radio. Get up close and behind the scenes with our programming, guests, shows, BYU sports, and more. BYU Radio. Talk about good.
KBYU FM, HD2 Provo.
This is Sam McCall for Sirius XM 143 BYU Radio. Attorney General Eric Holder sidestepped many lawmakers' questions today surrounding the Associated Press phone record seizure. Instead of providing specific information on the collection, Holder instead insisted he was not involved with the subpoena. White House officials urged Congress to revive legislation to protect journalists and their sources today as outrage over the AP record seizure continues to grow. The bill being supported will help balance national security needs against the public's right to the free flow of information, according to one administration official. On top of working to resolve the AP scandal, Obama administration officials have now released emails detailing how the attack on the U.S. Embassy in Benghazi, Libya, was handled last year. The emails also show how talking points were edited multiple times, removing mentions of possible terrorist action. Lawyers for the accused Cleveland man who supposedly kidnapped and held captive 3 women for over a decade will plead not guilty on his behalf. Ariel Castro's defense says the media has portrayed him as a monster before the whole story is told. A NASA spacecraft tasked with searching stars for planets similar to Earth has developed mechanical issues. Officials say planned emergency repairs only have a 50% chance of success. O.J. Simpson was on the witness stand appealing for a retrial of his 2008 armed robbery conviction today. The former NFL star says his lawyer's bad legal advice is what got him convicted in the first place. In world news, Israeli military leaders say they may strike targets inside Syria again in order to keep dangerous weapons out of the hands of Hezbollah militants. Syrian leaders have responded to the threats with a promise to retaliate. France has slipped back into recession after the entire Eurozone economy shrank more than expected in the first quarter of the year. It's the first decline for France in 4 years. That's the news to the top of the hour. For BYU Radio, I'm Sam McCall.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Matt Townsend Show. Dr. Matt Townsend here. and talking to Dr. Jamie Turndorf, who you can find at AskDrLove.com. Today we're talking about conflict and some of the skills, the tools to deal with conflict, the importance of noticing the fight, noticing what's happening to you, and understanding that this is a choice. You're going to have to use some discipline on this. Also understanding that a lot of your present-day fights are an echo from the past. It's a past scar, a past pain that is just popping up and is now being acted out in your current day life. Is that right, Dr. Jamie?
You got it. Kind of like a splinter of the soul.
Ooh, yeah.
And the past is just constantly working itself to the surface. Your psyche is begging you to attend to these infections, these emotional scars, and heal them. And when they heal, that's the beautiful thing about my method. I show couples how to heal the old scars together, and they are blissfully happy. I'll never forget a couple that I saw maybe 5 years ago. They had been in a war for 30 years. He was a famous doctor, and she came in and she said, I'm ready to divorce. She was crying. He doesn't listen to me. I try to talk to him. He withdraws. That's what I talk about, the number one cause of marital and relationship conflict, divorce, and domestic violence is the way men withdraw from conflict.
Yeah.
And so I explained to her that even though you think you've told him what's bugging you, he hasn't heard you once because you're yelling at him and you're complaining. And the result is he goes into what's called cognitive shutdown or the fight-flight response.
Right.
He doesn't see, he doesn't hear. And he just sat there looking, deaf, dumb, and blind, no hablo inglés, feeling on his tie. So I said, look, just don't trust him. But for once, tell him how you feel, using my XY formula, what he did, how you feel, be calm. And she did. And he burst into tears and he said, I swear to you, I never heard you before, but I hear you now. And I will change. And I got a call from them about a year ago saying they're blissfully happy, have been for the last 5 years. And there it is.
And that's the healing. I've seen the same thing where they finally get it. And
right.
it's not even just that finally he pulls his head out and gets it. It's that she also delivered it finally in a way he could hear it, and he was present enough to be there.
I talk again and again, the way a woman, don't forget, women get really mad at me about this, but we are the emotional overseers and the emotional maintainers, okay? So it's how you kick off that discussion that's going to determine whether he hears you or whether he's running for the hills.
Right.
And, I talk about the 3 ways that all men withdraw from conflict. This is universal. The most obvious way is they physically leave the room or the house, right?
Yeah, right.
But they also verbally flee. Here they're making excuses, escaping responsibility verbally, and then they also psychically flee, where they're sitting here, but they are mentally gone.
Right.
Their mind is out to lunch. Women not understanding this think, he doesn't care enough about me to just listen and understand me, so she gets hurt. Her hurt turns to anger, but as she cranks her emotional thermostat to the max, she unwittingly sets off more of these reactions,
these tendencies,
more
right?
Withdrawal, and this is how all relationship fighting is born. So what I say to women is you must cool down your communications, because if you don't, you are going to be sending him fleeing in one of the 3 ways I said.
Well, he's wired, right? He's wired to fight or flight, and flight's the easy one. When historically, 300 or 400 years ago, he just would have hit her with a club.
That's right. Well, it's like I say, men's bodies are hardwired to be hyper-reactive to stress and danger. This wiring dates back to prehistoric times when men were hunters and they needed to react with lightning speed to flee or to fight dangerous prey.
Right.
Modern danger is no longer the ferocious tiger. It's the pissed-off wife or girlfriend.
Yeah.
And when she comes at him baring her teeth and berating him with criticism, his body sees danger and involuntarily switches into that fight-flight mode. Since he doesn't want to physically fight her, he flees in one of the 3 ways I said.
And that's, there you have it, the beginning of the ultimate fight fest, right? That is and it's so subtle.
So simple, too.
Yeah.
And if you cool the climate down, my whole method is all about the ways we cool the climate down. So in segment 1 and 2, we talked about training your brain to fight for you. That cools the climate. The other way is healing your old scars. That cools the climate. And there's another way that's very important for cooling the climate, which is to identify and eliminate what I call your fight traps. These are those faulty, dysfunctional fighting tactics that everybody uses. They heat the climate and cause more withdrawal and more fighting.
And if you look at this, it's so cognitive what you're doing. You're just giving great labels, great patterns, great things to look for, so that this terrain that we've been flying over in every fight, instead of thinking every time we think it's kind of new, until after the fight we're like, oh man, we did the same thing. But you're saying if we could notice these things earlier, then you can actually choose to do something instead of just following the script.
Right. So one of the first things you want to do is identify and eliminate those fight traps. These are those faulty, dysfunctional fighting tactics. I group them into open warfare and secret warfare.
What are
open
those?
Open warfare is, the overt screw yous, the name calling.
Yeah, name calling, language,
Put downs, sarcasm, verbal attacks. And then the secret warfare are the more subtle ways, like guilt tripping and whining and nagging and complaining.
Yeah.
They heat the climate just as much, even though they are secret warfare. And so the first step, obviously, is to identify and then ditch your fight traps, because they're going to heat the climate.
Well, and what would be great is if, imagine having a great, healthy discussion where you both admit your fault traps. Your fight traps, and you could actually talk about them openly, like, I tend to guilt trip you a lot, and he's like, well, I name call you. I mean, if that could be overt, how powerful is that?
That's part of my method, that you literally identify them together, you cop to them.
Yeah.
If you're working as a team, then the team comes ahead of the individual players. If you see each other using one, you say, whoa, whoa, whoa.
Yeah.
Wait, name calling, whoa, your kitchen's sinking, and I have a whole list. Because, it's like in AA, the first step. Hi, I'm John. I'm an alcoholic, right? So, fight trap I use. This is the fight trap,
Well, and again, too, the secret, it's only secret. It's not even really secretive, because we know we're doing it, and they know we're doing it. It's just we pretend like it's hidden.
Who are we kidding? And again, it's a secret way of venting, taking the poop on somebody's head.
Getting that out.
But do you really, really want to take a dump on somebody's head, or do you want to have a relationship that works? Now, a lot of people are not aware of the fact that they are really secretly getting mountains of anger out that was meant for their parents on their spouses. So they don't want to give that up, because I didn't get to tell my mother off or my father off, so I'm going to give it all to you. Yeah. Well, you can do that, but you're going to be in divorce court.
Isn't that interesting? We're still paying for the parents.
Right.
Do we?
A guy was telling me this today. He's desperately trying to work out his stuff with his father. His father always told him it was his fault. Well, who does he marry? A woman who constantly tells him it's all his fault. So he bends over backwards to try to please her and win her love. He's stuck in this repetition, and of course, she is hell bent on making him the Antichrist. And I keep saying to him, this is not her goal. She doesn't want to collaborate with you. She wants to beat you up the way she didn't get to beat her parents up. What a match made in heaven.
Oh, it sounds like bliss.
Yes.
I don't understand why people divorce.
I know.
It just goes on, doesn't it?
Just take the wound with you, and deep down you're not cooked, you're not healed. You can run, but you can't hide. You've got this wound that's still lingering.
Well, and the power of being able to heal
tremendous
with somebody else. That was actually an agent in that healing. What that does for you, if we can succeed once in suspending this fight, the next time will be easier, and the next time will be cleaner, and every time it'll get faster and better.
And you're more and more healed.
Yep.
Because now, instead of feeling like your partner is dissing you, your partner is giving you the feeling you always needed to get from your parent, and you not only heal your marriage, you heal the original wound too.
Right. Well, and I guess eventually it's multi-generational. Then you heal the next generation.
right. Well, you're not passing it on. I call it your happy ending. This is your happy ending, and I help you in Till Death Do Us Part to identify your happy ending, which is the resolution to your wound. Well, when you know what that is, then you can verbalize that to your partner. You know, I need you to say this to me. I never heard this from my mom or my dad. Now you're giving me a template to help you heal.
Powerful. I love that. Are there any... Go through a little bit about the scars and the process of maybe healing some of the scars. Is there anything more to that than, I guess, recognizing the scar, trying to identify if there is the story? I mean, do we ever need to like go back and talk to mom and dad, or go back and close doors?
Well, the most dramatic example I have of this is a minister, the son of a minister who came to me because his father literally raped him in childhood.
Ugh.
And then he went on to rape all of his kids. So, he had a therapist before me who said, you've got to go back to your father and you've got to confront him. It was a disaster.
Right, of course.
Because the father denied it. The siblings rallied around the father.
Yeah.
So you don't always have to go home again. It's enough for you to know how you feel, talk about it with your therapist, with your loving partner. You don't always have to go back. And many times it's not even beneficial.
No.
Because often the parent will get defensive. You know, and you're not going to necessarily get the healing that you want with the parent, but you can do it with your partner. That's the divine gift.
Yep, that is the true catharsis, isn't it?
Yes.
Well, and also it seems like if I could heal with my partner on the issue, then it might make sense later to go back, because I would go back with a different spirit. I'd go back with a healed spirit instead of a contentious spirit.
Right.
And that might actually help my father heal, or whomever.
Yeah.
I mean,
but if you are healed, you're going to just deal so differently.
Totally.
Anyway.
Or walk away from it. You may not need it. I'm done. I'm good.
Or you may be able to say, you might be able to, rather than dredging up and laying blame and guilt trips, you might just say, wait a minute, don't talk to me that way.
Yeah.
So you're coming from a healed place and setting a boundary,
I love that.
Yeah.
I mean, who doesn't need more healing?
I don't know anybody.
I mean, really, it's.
Work in progress.
Well, we think of this. We think of this world. You think of the three women they found in that basement. Where was that? The whole story.
I know why you're backing it out. It's so horrible.
I mean, so think of the healing that needs to be done in this world, and the process. It seems like. Is this ability we have as people to have this open dialogue that can help us create healthier tools, healthier metaphors, healthier models, healthier symbols of life.
It's absolute. What is our purpose on earth? Ultimately, we are not here to make money or how much we screwed over somebody. We're here to perfect our ability to love others better.
Yeah.
That's what we're here for.
Yeah. And what
a training ground for that.
And marriage is that. I mean, this is that process. Yeah.
And I mean, people say, well, God is the third being in the marriage. God lives inside each of us. So as you are worshiping your partner, you're worshiping God. You're perfecting your ability to love God better.
That's right. And instead, we kind of mess it all up with just fight.
Yeah.
The antithesis to love.
Yes.
Wow, you make it sound so easy, Jamie.
Well, you know what? I see it so clearly now.
Yeah, I think you're right.
It is so easy, and so with my clarity, I'm really, really able to help the people who entrust me with the gift of working with them. I'm able to help them resolve,
find the
heal.
peace. So they should come to your website. Anybody that's listening, go to the website, askdrlove.com, askdrlove.com, and just begin if you want, checking out all the great resources. There's videos to listen to or to watch. But you can also get on there and start getting free ebooks.
Yeah, when you sign up with my newsletter, you get 11 free ebooks that help you begin the process, and also I have a radio show every week.
Yeah, it's the tools we need. We're marriage education. You can't overlook it.
No, You know, a little bird told me a secret about you.
What?
Yeah, I heard that you have something to be very proud of.
Yes, my daughter?
Well, that too, but somebody told me that you achieved your doctorate this year.
Yeah, I got my doctorate, yeah.
Isn't that fantastic?
I'm bad to the bone.
Yeah.
It's pretty amazing. Honestly, it was a huge feat, and when you think back, I'm like, would I ever do that again? If I had to do that again, would I do that? And I thought, no. But then I thought, yeah, because my mission...
It's like childbirth.
It is. It's exactly...
I never do that again.
But then you want that cute baby. Yeah, so that's the deal. And, you know, the coolest thing about it, I relate so much to you, I think, Jamie, because when you see somebody finally turn to love instead of all of this anger and the stories and the smoke, there's no more peace on earth than that moment.
You know, and I was told by a psychic a year ago that my calling is to connect souls, whether they're here on the earth plane or whether they're in the spirit plane, and connecting people on earth to the spirit. Where did this come from? Well, I was born 3 months early, and I spent the first 3 months of my life in a hospital. And the psychic said, you decided then you didn't want anybody to suffer the pain of that kind of disconnection.
Beautiful.
And it's true. I mean, this has been my life's mission.
Yeah.
You know, and then, of course, I'm raised by two parents who religiously hated each other. So I got my PhD in conflict resolution.
Yeah, when you were 5.
I got my PhD when I was in diapers, and I'll spell that P-E-E.
That's right. That's exactly right. Well, isn't that, but honestly, I think you have to be hit like that in order to have the depth you have.
Absolutely.
I love it. Well, Dr. Jamie Turndorf, PhD, go check her out, askdrlove.com. Jamie, thanks so much for being here.
I really enjoyed my time with you, and I'm going to be in touch with you and have you on my show.
I would love it. Love to be a part of that, really, and great insight. Check out Dr. Jamie Turndorf at AskDrLove.com. This is the Matt Townsend Show. We'll be back after this break on Sirius XM 143 BYU Radio.
Ghost implants, bioelectronics that can heal you from the inside and then vanish. Take a look before it disappears.
This is Innovation Now, bringing you stories behind the ideas that shape our future.
Transient electronic device. That's what DARPA researchers call this new family of electronics that can be implanted in a human body and then dissolve away completely in anything from weeks to minutes. The TEDs are made of materials that dissolve in water and can be absorbed by the body. Prototypes use a sandwich of silicon, magnesium circuitry, and silk. What the devices are used for can vary, as can their lifespans. They might make fast and easy ways to wirelessly track vital signs on patients. One of the test applications is a sort of electronic wound cleaner, or a protective barrier around things like pacemakers or artificial joints. Bacteria keep evolving and adapting to antibiotics faster than new ones can be invented, but they can't learn to beat an electronic system that doesn't use chemicals. A TED implant could keep a surgical site clear of infections electronically, from within, as well as track and report problems, from inside the wound to doctors in their office. And when its job is done, like a ghost, it just fades away. For Innovation Now, this is Buddy Rubino.
Innovation Now is produced by the National Institute of Aerospace through collaboration with NASA and is distributed by WHRV. Visit us online at innovationnow.us.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Matt Townsend Show. Dr. Matt Townsend here. We are talking today about, relationship issues, and we're going to start a new little facet to the show where we're going to start taking some questions from people online, basically Ask Dr. Matt, and our own Rob Sanders has put together some questions from some people on the internet.
The internet asks, Matt answers.
Bing, bing,
That's kind of
bing.
my working title.
I like it. Here. Profound. So what's the question?
Found a question floating out there. Comes from a couple in their mid-20s, been married about 2 years.
Yeah.
He took a job that pays really good money, but he's away in Europe 10 weeks and then back in the States for 2 weeks.
Oh, geez. And she stayed here.
She stayed here.
Okay.
The money's good. He's climbing the ladder in the company, helping support his family. They started Skyping during these 10 weeks to stay close.
Yeah.
The problem was, as time went on, he noticed that his wife started to distance herself, where she wasn't really being
She wasn't
all
engaged.
that close. And when he most recently came home in March for his little 2-week window, they were not close at all. And there was intimacy trouble. And anyway, he ended up getting suspicious and started looking at her phone and her emails and found that she's been talking with another guy. And so that's been...
Was it just talking, or did they go...
Well, he confronted her about it.
Okay.
And she said, well, we got maybe a little closer than we should have, but nothing happened. Well, he dug through the emails further and found that...
apparently something had.
Yeah, something had. And then he said the final straw was he found a photo in her email of this guy, her, and they have a 14-month-old child.
Oh, no.
Having a photo together.
A little photo op.
And it just shattered him. So
Sure.
He discovers that right as he has to take back off for another 10 weeks. And he's at a point now where he's saying he's due to come home at the end of the month, but he's just in shock that this would happen because his wife's a very normal, kind person. But he just can't believe that she'd parade this other person in front of their child.
Yeah.
He feels frustrated because he's been working hard to support his family. She's living off of it to, basically cheat on him. He's wondering if he ought to just pull the plug, get a divorce. Should he just stay abroad when his 2 weeks comes up, not come home? But the daughter's in the equation, so he has no clue what to do.
So the question is then, do I divorce, stay abroad, not come home, or do I come home, face the pain, and decide what to do? Is that the question, roughly?
Yeah, and then if he decides to face it, what should he do?
Well, okay. Here's the core to any time I coach somebody. I always ask, well, what are your values? Because he could, everything in him would say, just stay. She's done. Just stay. Stay there. Go have fun in Europe, wherever he is. But here's, I guess, the deal. I don't know that his decision right this second is divorce, because I guess I don't know where she is on that. But if she's done, he's going to divorce anyway. He's not going to stop the divorce. But he is a father, and he apparently seems conflicted enough that he's not absolutely sure whether to stay or go anyway. So my advice would be, I'd go home. And when I go home, I'm not sure you can fix it, but I would go home, and I wouldn't even go home to just face the piper and pay the price of all of this. What I would make sure I do when I go home, if you're going to divorce somebody, you've got to make sure you divorce them in a healthy way. This sounds kind of crazy, but we got into it earlier today with Dr. Turndorf. I can always divorce you full of anger, hate, confusion, frustration, negative, hopeless, and polarizing. I can always do that. My belief is I want to heal myself as much as I can before I divorce somebody. I would try to be as healthy as I could. Your wife falling away from you may not be your fault. It probably, honestly, is her fault. She found someone else. But I would go home, and I would just see, just like we talked about today on the show, is I'd see if we couldn't talk. Figure out, what really happened? I would demand from my wife that she tell me, what happened here? Was there something else going on before this went on? Was I missing something as a husband? I need to know for my sake. And so when I work with couples, I pretty much demand that they end up helping each other. You've made a commitment with each other. If we're going to divorce, let's divorce. But don't let your partner divorce you not knowing what happened. Were there relationship problems before? Was he not meeting the needs before? Was she just picked up and found this guy? Or was this something that was going on before? More importantly, you're still a dad. And if you're still a dad, this child needs your time and your attention. You not coming home is not going to help this daughter learn something healthy. This doesn't sound like a healthy way to end a relationship. And it may not be healthy because of your wife. And if it's not healthy because of your wife, then if you start reacting to an unhealthy wife and not come home, you're part of the problem. So come home. Be super dad. Pay a time and attention and be focused and be there. Hey, you know what else? Maybe it's time that you'll need to quit that job. I know that's crazy talk, but if you're going to divorce and you're going to still need to raise your daughter half the time, then maybe it's time you come home and create a life here that makes it so you can still see your daughter. I know there's great jobs, and I know it's hard to find a good job in town sometimes, but in the end, you're only as healthy as you are. And when you deal with dysfunctional people like we end up doing in our marriages, the rule I always use is you never let the most relationally challenged person lead. So I'm not sure that this guy is relationally challenged. It sounds like his wife kind of is. She gave up on a marriage, found something better, and is already introducing a 14-month-old baby to this person. That's a little messed up. Don't let her lead that. You get home, go talk to the woman, go figure out what's going on, find out what really happened. If we're going to divorce, we're going to divorce, but you don't want to do it with a lot of low character, with a lot of reactivity. You don't want to be selfish now just because she was. So that's what I would do. And not perfect, but you know what? Don't give up either, brother. This is a great example for all you out there in listener land, because this is more real than anything. But the principles apply. Your peace is not going to come from your partner, folks. Our peace has to come from the fact that we're principled and we're in tune and doing what we believe in our value system. So if you believe you should be a wonderful dad regardless of how this woman is, you go be a wonderful dad, number one. Number two, don't give up on a marriage just because somebody that's messed up gave up on it. Go get more information. Go home, see what they say, and see if you can fix it. God bless you, brother. I hope good luck on that one. That is not an easy question, and infidelity is always painful. Folks, that's the Matt Townsend Show. We so appreciate you joining us. This is our goal every day of the week, Monday through Friday, to give you tools, a leg up, give you some vision, a better view of the life that you can live, the life that we all want to live. Join us again tomorrow with more ideas, more tools right here on the Matt Townsend Show on Sirius XM 143 BYU Radio.
If you had the chance to travel the globe every week, where would you go? Cancun? Niagara Falls? What about Yellowstone?
That's what I'm talking about. There's places that you go. For example, I like Boise, Idaho.
Yes.
But I love Hawaii. All right, so anything like that? Because there's some places that are just so much better than others, let's be honest.
Be sure to catch Eric and his crew weekdays at 9 p.m. Eastern, 7 Mountain, here on Sirius XM 143 BYU Radio.